back here. Oopsie daisy. Hello, everybody, and welcome back here to the DreamHack Eizo Open, the final tour stop of 2012, live from Romania, live from Bucharest. Choose whichever one you want to actually choose. I'm here in Romania, joined by Desrow.
It's been a pretty cool day so far, guys. Two excellent best of threes, and we're going to be bringing you another one very shortly indeed. Cloud is going to be going up against Desrow. That's going to be a pretty cool matchup indeed.
Yeah, I mean, these guys have played a lot against each other just on the ladder most recently because both of them do live in Europe. Desrow living in the Ministry of Winhouse. His first tournament that I've actually had the pleasure to cast him at, his first European tournament, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he's been to another European tournament. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is his first European tournament. Cloud, though, a veteran within the scene, a veteran within StarCraft in general, through playing Brood War days, through representing Italy as #1 Protoss player back in the day. Now, of course, playing Terran within StarCraft 2. Team alternate attacks here for Cloud. Desrow on Eclipsia, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he's on a Pulse now.
Oh,
so he left Eclipsia and he's now in Pulse.
Yeah, that's right.
He's an ex-Warcraft 3 player and an ex-Dota player, and of course, he now lives in the Ministry of Wind, like you mentioned, after coming off a stint in Korea as well. So he's been practicing an awful lot, and let's see if his time in Korea has prepared him for this particular tournament. A lot of high hopes resting on Desrow, actually, this time around. Of course, he hasn't been around so much the tournament scene, but after his practice out there in the Far East, maybe he's come back and can really look forward to him putting some good performances here.
Yeah, Desrow is a very hard worker. For a lot of people that watch his stream regularly, he does stream a lot, 10 to 12 hours a day usually, and has been practicing very hard in the Ministry of Wind. We'll have to see how he can perform here, though. Against Cloud, as mentioned, is a veteran within tournaments. He has played at many European tournaments. Doesn't really go to America so much. A couple of tournaments he has been there, but not a consistent contender there. But within the European scene, there's hardly any tournaments that you do not see alternate attacks Cloud compete in.
That's right. Cloud, of course, the Italian player here. And I don't think he was able to take the win in WCS Italy, unfortunately. He came, was it second? I think he came third.
I think it was fourth or third, yeah.
Yep, so not quite. I mean, he is technically the established #1 player in Italy. A lot of people know him as such. Unable to quite come through there in WCS, and maybe looking for a really good tournament showing here at DreamHack to maybe make up for that a little bit. These two are, of course, the favorites, I would say, to go through in their group as well.
Yep, and as you say that, I mean, Cloud right now is 2-0 in the group.
There you go.
So he's pretty much through no matter what. Desrow, on the other hand, is currently 1-1. He beat one opponent, which is EXE Freak Damage. He beat him. But he did lose to Balance G, which is an interesting loss there against the Bulgarian Balance G. Not too many people know of him. I think he just plays like he's like a Grandmaster player, but losing a game like that is very important for Desrow because Desrow now going into this game against Cloud, if he loses against Cloud, Desrow could be out of the tournament. Depending on how Balance G does against EMX Freak G, then Desrow could be coming to Romania as first European tournament, if I'm not mistaken, and could be out in the round of 64 in the first group stage.
Oh, now I did not know that before we took a look at those bracket pages. That actually is a major blow to Desrow there. Really looking forward to a good showing after his stint in Korea, effectively, and going 1-1 in the first group stage is going to be denting his confidence just a bit. But what he can do is try and win this particular game and this particular match, and that will stand him in good stead. So he needs to focus purely on this game right now and not worry about his position too much as we get into the first map, ladies and gentlemen, which is going to be Ohana in the bottom right-hand position. As the Red Terran, our own Italian stallion from Team Alternate, we have Cloud, who will be facing off against the blue Protoss in the top left corner. A little bit of a pause there. We'll see what's going on in just a moment. But currently living in the Ministry of Wind, just came off his stint in Korea. Let's see what he can do here. It is Desrow.
It is Desrow, who speaks French, Canadian, English, probably American too. As we're ready to get into this game, as we can now begin.
There we go.
And like you said, it is Ohana, so a two-player map between these two guys. It's a pretty decent map for both players, depending on how they want to play it out. It does change a little bit if we do see aggressive or passive play. I'm very excited to see what Desrow's going to bring to the table, though. Desrow's always had and always been, through all the games I've seen him, show matches, I've casted a couple of show matches, I've watched his stream. He's a very designed player. So when I say designed, I mean he focuses on a specific build and he doesn't really mess up on it. So he'd be going into this game, and I'm pretty sure that's what he's doing here, with a 2 to 3 base attack planned out, and he will try to hit it as best as he can. He's not so much a reactionary player, he is much so more the aggressive one who has a plan and sticks to the plan. So I think Cloud would be playing a little bit more reactionary in this game. I think Cloud's mechanics are a lot stronger than Desrow's. Cloud, a former Brood War player, has been playing, just a very strong macro-mechanical style for a very, very long time. When I say mechanical, I mean, hands on keyboard and mouse, and how his hotkey setup is, and how he doesn't mess up with production and SUV production and so on. Not so much unit mechanically. We'll see how this is going to map out.
Well, there are a little bit of mind games going on as well when you are the kind of player, for example, like you mentioned, by design, sort of going for a specific build. That means that if, for example, Cloud gets some good harassment in sideways, there's a chance that maybe Desrow won't be adapting his build quite as quickly. Maybe he's still going to try and go for what he was originally going for, but half a minute, even more later on, if Cloud finds a way of successfully delaying it. And that kind of trap is quite easy to fall into if you have a specific build in mind prior to the start of the game. So Desrow has to keep that in mind and has to know that if something unexpected happens, he needs to be able to adapt to it. So we'll see how well he puts up with that if Cloud decides to get harass heavy early on in the game.
And Desrow does confirm that this most likely is just going to be a one barracks command center, not seeing the gas. It's not seeing any missing SCVs and just, the one barracks there. And does go in to confirm that. Sees an SCV there, which is pretty much good enough. Doesn't want to try. I mean, he's like on 95% confirmation now. Doesn't want to get the 100 because he'd lose the probe. This is, of course, Cloud's third event this year. Got top 64 in the Stockholm event, and then actually managed to get a top 16 finish. Most recently, I think that was in Valencia, top 16 finish.
That's right.
Desrow's first event, as mentioned, and because this is kind of Desrow's first event in Europe, he's not had any official history against Cloud, so they haven't played any officials together, but like I said, they do play a lot on ladder, both of them being top European players, and already we do have a bit of a sneaky engineering bay, but to be honest, it doesn't really do anything. There's a Zealot and Stalker on the way out, and it's not even that high hit point, so to be honest, it actually hurts Cloud a little bit more than it does Desrow. Desrow doesn't really care about that.
Sometimes we see the SCV being moved in to try and get a couple more hit points on that engineering bay before it's forced to get cancelled, but that SCV already on red health by the time that engineering bay started getting hit by that Zealot, so not really something he's looking to do in that time. And we have got now the expansion popping down almost immediately there for Desrow.
All right, so Zealot and Stalker make his way across, won't do anything. The bunker is down. Cloud didn't mess up on that, and there are 4 Marines. Desrow will poke up, though, just in case. You always want to just do this anyway, because if there isn't a bunker down, you're going to kill SCVs and Marines.
Good pick off there of that SCV, and that Stalker not taking any hull damage until now, actually. And wow, he's actually moving in and, gets a probe in as well. A cute little move there from Desrow, just wanting to see if anything is in the back here, but doesn't actually see too much of significance other than no gas is taken at the natural.
Yeah, nice little trick there. I mean, you can't really count SCVs on the natural at this point in the game, but he wanted to 100% confirm that. And we actually see a Twilight Council coming down. So the Twilight Council coming down this early on most likely is going to be DTs. It could be Blink, though. I mean, there's 2 options, of course, Blink and DTs. If he goes for Blink, then he's going to be looking to catch a 9-10 minute push out and then just destroy it and then counterattack.
Yeah.
If he goes for DTs, which I think he's going to with the amount of gas he's banked up really early on, then I think that he's looking to punish extremely hard. And with the Observer coming down as well, if he plants a pylon on the right-hand side of the map, would be looking to get into the main base.
And that could be pretty big if he's able to warp DT straight into the main. So the Twilight Council has now finished. And we have, there we go, a Dark Shrine, ladies and gentlemen, being put down on the left-hand side in the top left of the main base there. Nice, very nicely away from the rest of the buildings as well, possibly forcing Cloud to use an additional scan to see it if he is so inclined. A third gas being taken there at the natural expansion too. And yeah, it looks like, let's see if he can get a pylon in a good position, because that's really what it's going to come down to now, if he can sort of warp them straight into the main base from that bit above the main, like you mentioned there, Apollo. All
right, so we do have a warp prism coming in, so he's just going to use that instead.
Okay.
And there's the turret. I was actually going to bring up that very next point. Cloud is a player.
Ooh, there goes, yep, there goes a Stalker there.
Yeah. I mean, I was just going to say, Cloud is a player that covers all angles. Like, he doesn't cut corners. That's usually his weakness. Because he covers every single angle, he gets punished a lot because he plays too safe. But with the turret down, it's going to help a lot on the natural. I'd be interested to see if he saves up scans. That's like a different layer of defense too. He has no idea what's going on. He's just playing it very safe, play blind. I'm sure he knows he's mechanically stronger than Desrow is. So I'm sure he's feeling confident and may want to just play safe. I think he's saving up energy. No, he didn't in the main. He has almost energy in the natural. So this could be very awkward for Cloud. As here come the DTs. And I'll tell you if Cloud uses that energy on the natural, which I think he's going to.
Oh dear, and he's picking up 3 DTs in the Warp Prison now. That's going to be moving out towards the main base. We have a building floating here, though. The factory is floating in, and we'll be able to see this Warp Prison popping out. Let's see what Cloud does in response. Here we go. The DTs are going to get dropped any second now. 3 of them into the main base.
Very slow response. Very, very, very slow response there from Cloud, considering he saw that with the factory, as you said. No turret could have been built initially early on. No units were up there early on. And this is going to work out very, very well here for Desrow. And there's no scans. I mean, like I said, he used the energy. There's going to be 1 scan in 3 tickings time. But there's DTs, there's 3 DTs and more to be made if possible.
Oh, really nice pick off there of the SCV building the turret in the main base. The other DC has to get out of range of scan, and he does successfully do that. So forcing additional scans to go down, and he's going to be surrounding the turret until that gets up. And of course, until that happens, this DT is actually just going to have... Oh, wow, he actually gets a shot off on the turret as well. Is the turret going to go down? Oh,
nice
wow,
stim,
that was
actually.
so close.
Really good stim there before the turret finished, because he knew he didn't have time to stim and then attack. It was stim and then the units just attack as fast as they can. But Desrow still has DTs in the main base. There's going to be a scan available there. 1 goes down, and it doesn't look like he's going to get another one. And Cloud's just taking way too much damage from this, unfortunately. 11 SCVs killed so far. Warp Prison does go down, so there's only 1 DT left in the main base. But Desrow is floating a lot of money. 1,200 resources, not keeping up. He's throwing down a bunch of gateways down. He could have expanded to a 3rd base while doing all this as well, but he's very much so focused on nailing this down. And I think that he's done way, way more than enough here. 13 SCV kills, 38 SCVs versus 53. Yeah. Charge and armor done as well. Desrow's good to actually defend against a counterattack, which is always going to be the weakness. And even with a single DT still in there, doing another SCV kill, that's good for him.
Oh, and we even have the turret getting taken out immediately the second it gets put down in the main base. Cloud is just taking so much damage from these DTs. And that scouting factory ended up at the 3rd base to see if Desrow was going to be expanding behind it. And Cloud sees that Desrow hasn't yet. So he might be worried about a 2-base follow-up here, but we can see the pylon and the Nexus going down at the 3rd. So a little bit later, like you mentioned, Apollo, the 3rd base could have been taken maybe during that attack if Desrow wanted to do it. And Cloud will see that it's a little late, but Desrow still looking like he's in a pretty decent position here.
Yeah, he's in an absolutely fantastic position with +2 armor on the way. He's got Archons being made as well through the DTs he's used. And I don't think he's going to really lose anything in a straight-up fight here. He most likely could lose to drops, though. That's something he's got to be careful about. But he is taking over to Robotics Bay with double Robotics facility coming down. And Cloud sees the army straight up. He's going to clear the Zelnogga Tower and try to drop in the main base here, I think, because that's the one way. Zealot Charge is great heads up, but it's very, very weak.
Yeah.
Against drops like this, and that's what Cloud's going to do. And Cloud is going to hit a position where Desrow's not at. He's got nothing there. Oh, this is really bad.
This is looking... Oh, this could be a very, very devastating drop here for Cloud. The army from Desrow is reacting almost immediately, but he was just so far away. Those Zealots are taking forever to get back into the main base. No charge, of course, on those Zealots just yet, and now we're moving out around the Nexus.
Oh, no.
Trying to pick off the upgrades. A good decision there. The Forge does go down. Sees the Twilight and the Robotics Bay. What else is going to go down here? Excellent positioning on the Bio against the Zealots as well.
Oh, wow. This could actually be so... Oh, this is such a game... It is a game-changing move. But look at that pickup. Great pickup to the natural now. Killing probes. An excellent play here by Cloud. And there we see the drop-off. And this has just been a right screw in the works for Desrow, who did not anticipate the drop. And he should have. And it continues to keep on now with so many... Or so little in Stalkers, even here on the natural. It looks like it will...
Needs to be careful with those drop ships. Great Mike. Oh dear, and losing one outright, and the second one is going to go down as well. Oh, after such a great drop coming out from Cloud there as the crowd screams behind us. Something awesome going on the main stage at the moment. But, oh, it was so close. I really like that Cloud put all of his units in the medevacs that had high hit points and had the one that was on low hit points empty. Unfortunately, losing the other 2 at the 3rd base location there. But a lot of damage was done, Apollo.
Losing that forge really stings now, as we have +1 armor done, +2 attack on the way, +2 armor should be coming down in a second. There it is. And even the 2nd starport, the Mobius reactor coming down for the Ghosts. Things are looking absolutely fantastic here for Cloud. It is a little bit behind in supply, but that's not going to make too much of a difference. He needs to take that 3rd command center and plant it down now, because he will fall behind. But he lost a lot of units attacking, which is why he's behind in army supply. But infrastructure, upgrades, and economy, he's absolutely fantastic here. And Desrow's in a bit of a pickle. He's going to have to play from behind in this game. The Colossus is finally making its way out, but Desrow can never attack until the Colossus are ready, which will give Cloud 2-2 most likely. I don't see Desrow making a move out before that, and if Cloud has 2-2 against 2 armor and 1 attack, with Vikings, with Ghosts, that is massive for Cloud.
It really is. And, a scan actually taking out the DT at the Watchtower there. Desrow trying to hold on to map control, using those DTs to force Cloud to get those scans out whenever he wants to retake the towers. That's something I really like out of his play, because he's trying to keep that map control. He has pylons on both the left and right-hand side of the map at the moment, so he's going to try and scout for any additional drops. But that drop really was just so good from Cloud, immediately taking the Watchtower and then moving the medevacs, effectively beelining it for the main base, and Desrow was not prepared for that sort of play. We have Blink now, about a quarter of the way out. 2 Colossi coming out at a time here versus 2 Vikings coming out at a time for Cloud. But he does have Ghosts on the way now as well, and we have Protoss ground weapons level 2 only just starting. So picking off that Forge, really useful indeed.
I'm just looking at the army of Cloud. I think he would like to hit a 2-2 attack here, but I'm not sure if his army is big enough to do it. With 3 more barracks coming down, it will be eventually. So I wonder if he's just going to build a 4th base here. He may just try it anyway and just be like, well, even though my army's small, it's still going to be pretty damn strong. As you can see, it's only 1-3-0, 3-2 supply. He may, I mean, there's 2 options for Cloud, as mentioned. He gets 3-3 and gets a 4th command center, or he moves out with 3-3. We'll see which one it's going to be in a couple of seconds' time. But Desrow, getting quite confident now. He's got, you know, Colossus out, he's got Thermal Lance out, he has +2 armor down, he's got +2 attack on the way, more gateways are coming down as well for him, so he's looking a little bit better. But the problem is for Desrow, is because of how this game shaped up here, Jorasar, is that his Temporal Archive is incredibly slow. He does not have Storm. So the thing is, if he takes a direct fight and loses the Colossus fast, which will happen against all these Vikings, his army, his ground army melts faster than butter in Romania.
That's pretty fast, man. I mean, it's quite hot in here, especially with the lights as well. So let's see what happens there. But it is important to note, Apollo, it is down to Cloud to execute said timing, and Desrow is doing his best to stall for time here. He does have a War Prism on the way once again, going to be moving some Zealots into the main base. So his Temple Archives is down late. He's only just getting his 4th base now, but he's going to try and stall for as much time as possible so that he can make up for it. And that way, he stands a much better chance if Storm is completed by the time Cloud actually comes in with this timing. And picking apart the reactors on the starports, limiting the Viking production and the medevac production, of course, from Cloud, is going to enable Desrow maybe to get a little bit more leeway for his Colossi.
Yeah, SCVs come to repair that engineering bay. Can't afford to lose that +3 armor, but this is clean up pretty easy. Desrow does slow down the medevac and Viking production as mentioned, but there's already a lot of Vikings out here. Medevac counts at 6 as well, so I think that's the least
good,
of Cloud's worries at the moment about losing those reactors. With 14 Vikings, 6 medevacs. Storm is on its way. It's almost done, but there's a lot of Ghosts been there for a long time. They have a lot of energy. The Ghost count currently at 7. It's going to be very important to nail the EMPs. If the snipes and EMPs are good, the Vikings will do the rest. That's as much as the Cloud needs to worry about. And Desrow's going to come in. +3 armor so close. It's going to be a very tense moment here.
And actually, Colossus production has stopped as well. Oh, the Stalker's trying to pick apart a couple. There we go. Oh, that's a good storm on a lot of the Vikings, but hasn't actually... Well, the only Vikings he's killed are via the Stalkers at the moment, and those Zealots protecting a High Templar are within range of that sensor tower, so Cloud knows that they're there. What will Desrow be able to do with this push? We're going to be moving up towards the natural expansion. Good preemptive storm there on a lot of the Vikings, actually. That was really good from Desrow, but needs to land at least one more if he wants to kill a lot of them off. And the Colossi are dangerously close to the front of the army. Great EMP coming out there from Cloud, and Desrow is forced back at this time. Stalker's now moving forward once again, but really that command center isn't what he's aiming for. Has to be so careful.
High Templar gets a great storm. Good EMP, good snipe as well. There's still 3 storms left in that army. But Desrow's taking this fight very cautiously, patiently, and he's absolutely executing this very, very well, and he's continuing to do so. Viking's going to be so strong here up that hill. Desrow, I don't think these Colossus are going to just survive. Desrow, don't attack up there.
Beautiful EMP as well, and I think he caught at least 1 High Templar.
Yeah, there's no storm left.
Great snipes as well, and dear, oh dear, Desrow has to move back at this point. There really is not much of a choice. We have got 2 High Templar moving in from the left-hand side. Is it going to be enough, though? Because a lot of this army is melting before they even get here. Here we go, the High Templar now within range. Are we going to see a storm? No! no! 2 excellent snipes from Cloud. Picks apart, but we have 1 Storm left at the back. I think Cloud should be able to hold this okay, though. The Ghosts are just doing so much damage.
Yeah, and now a bunch of Colossus being remade 6 gateways as well. Cloud did do that very well, but the problem is Desrow was dancing a little bit too long. That 3-3 finish while he was dancing, so that enabled Cloud to push that back a little bit easier than initially expected. But with +3 attack about to finish, as well as +3 armor that has finished, Desrow shouldn't really lose his 4th base. He can't lose his 4th base. His units, the Blink Stalkers, need to get their asses in gear. And this 4th base, if that goes down, that just puts Cloud in a really good position.
A nice EMP once again. Some of those Stalkers without energy. Crucially, there is a bit of energy on that Sentry, but he never ends up getting to use any of it. And the Zealot Warping was just a bit too late. The 4th base goes down. So many medevacs with this army as well, scanning to make sure there's nothing in the back. And the DT is actually doing a decent amount of damage there too. Good SCV micro, preventing the harass going on at the 3rd base as well. And Cloud is looking in a pretty commanding position here.
Yeah, Desrow's crumbling a little bit here. Lost the 4th base, losing the Colossus, and now is about to lose the 3rd base as well. And if he loses that 3rd base, this game is as good as over. And it's very, very important here for Desrow to warp in units. He's warping in DTs, trying to survive, and he will push Cloud back here. And Cloud's going to have to evacuate, and that gives Desrow a bit of breathing room. But with a Planetary Fortress coming up on the left-hand side of the map, and a turret should be made next to it with the amount of DTs that are present on this map, Cloud should start to crawl back into this game. He's not mining on the 3rd base.
Oh, now, yeah, I was about to say, I just took a look at the income tab there, and Desrow is actually mining more than Cloud is at the moment. So even with the mining resuming, Desrow's actually still has a higher income, but what can he really do with it? He is still about 25 supply behind Cloud as it currently stands. The worker count is okay and still healthy, 58 to 54 in favor of Cloud at the moment, but with that Planetary Fortress potentially going up soon as well, and the SCV's repairing that, I think Cloud should be able to retake the income lead.
All right, so things a little bit calmer in this game for the time being, but it won't stay that long. It won't stay that way for much longer, that's for sure. As they are starting to rebuild their armies. Cloud going to take a bit of a lead with this 4th base down. Desrow still without a 4th base, unfortunately. Without that 4th base, he's going to be in a bit of trouble. And Cloud with this single Marine, this 1-kill Marine, the recruit, very simple recruit, is going to end his life so poorly. But he did. Oh dear God, that was a bit gruesome. What I wanted to say is that you saw the lack of base, which is very, very good there for Cloud, seeing, well, damn, I'm in good shape. As he sends another Marine, that one just gets turned to stone, and then...
Dear, oh dear, dying, feeding the shrubbery nutrients there, trying to pick apart the turret, and it looks like we have a bit of an attack at the 4th that gets quickly abandoned there. Sees that there is a 2nd turret up as well, and that's a Planetary Fortress. It's going to be very difficult for Desrow to push into this position. It's not going to stop him from trying. There was stim forward. Excellent storm once again from Desrow, but is it going to be enough? It looks like it isn't, and the Vikings are going to work. Good storm again to follow it up, and so much of this army is red now. Cloud wants to be careful. He doesn't overextend, but he has successfully pushed Desrow back.
Yeah, Desrow's got to be careful. He doesn't have an observer with his army. There is one on Cloud's Zelnoga Tower, but there's not one with his army. So these Ghosts have Cloak. I mean, that goes down, and EMP's go on to his High Templar, then he's got no Storm. And he has no Colossus, so it's all about Storm now. So this is going to be crucial. That could be actually game-ending.
That's right.
If there's no observer.
There are 7 Vikings left on the field, but no Colossi. But 7's not exactly a ridiculous number, considering how many were out on the field earlier. And it's a good decision as well from Cloud to stop that Viking production in the meantime until he sees more. 4 additional Ghosts coming in as well for our Terran player. That's going to wreak absolute havoc on this Protoss army if he gets a couple of good EMPs off. And he's been doing quite well with those EMPs this game, it has to be said. We have some SCVs now moving out with this army as well, because they're trying to repair the Vikings. And... good scan there, just making sure nothing untoward is at the watchtower. And Cloud looking like he's going to get aggressive again very soon.
Yeah, good snaps by Cloud, just preemptively scanning in front of him, checking out where the High Templar knows the importance of the storm here. If there's no storm present, then Cloud's going to claim his victory here on map number 1, remember, in this best of 3. Cloud currently 2-0, looking for a 3-0 sweep. Desrow, though, on the other hand, fighting for his tournament life. There's a scan, and oh my God, no observer is mentioned. And now down falls the High Templar, and with the High Templar falling down, that means one thing, that this 4th base will not actually stay alive.
Yeah, I think, oh, nice dodge there on the initial storm, but I'm not sure there are any more storms to follow up. Great EMPs as well on the Archons. They effectively can't tank, and GG from Oh, from Desrow, Cloud taking game number 1 there very patiently as well, it has to be said.
Yeah, so a little bit unfortunate there for Desrow. I think he played a very solid game. There's a couple of mistakes that allowed Cloud to crawl back into the game. But Desrow now 1 map away from potentially being out of the tournament here in Group Stage 1, the round of 64 here, because he dropped a game against Balance G, a Bulgarian player that is here. And unfortunately there for Desrow, could spell the end of his tournament life already.
It could indeed. He has to be so very careful here, and he got himself into a good position out of those DTs in the early game as well. It was a little unfortunate for him that Cloud was able to claw it back, but credit where it's due. Once taking that watchtower, Cloud moving those medevacs into the main base of Desrow was just able to do so much damage on the counter there that all of a sudden Desrow went from a position where he was just quite confident with what he was going to do in this game to being on the back foot and having to be careful. And I think that really changes mentality a bit, because he wasn't poking out quite as often into the mid to late game. He was trying to be as careful as he could, and all of a sudden Cloud was the one with most of the aggression. We did have a little bit of Warp Prism harass trying to delay before Storms got out on the field, but it wasn't quite enough to get him back in contention here. And
the next map is going to be Daybreak. If need be, we'll go to Cloud Kingdom. So these next 2 maps are actually very good here for Desrow. Daybreak is a great Protoss versus Terran map, because if you defend well, you'll go into the late game, and everybody wants to be in the late game as a Protoss player. And a very big map, split map too. Final map would be Cloud Kingdom, another great map there for Desrow. So if this is going to be the way that he's going to turn it around, these maps are certainly going to help him out. Cloud, though, is actually asking for the maps and put a TT in there when he found out what 2 maps are coming up next. But going on to this, is Cloud going to go 3-0, 6-0, 6-0 being his maps? Because he hasn't even dropped a map yet in this group.
That's a great point, actually. He does seem to be on a tear here. Desrow has to take these games off of Cloud if he wants to make sure he stays in the tournament. Let's find out what he can do. We're now going to be loading into the game, ladies and gentlemen. This is game number 2 between Cloud and Desrow. And here we go, spawning in the bottom left position, ladies and gentlemen, as the red Terran player. He is up 1-0. Can he complete the sweep of his route without dropping a single map? We'll find out in just a bit. He is Cloud. And he's going to be going up against the blue Protoss player in the top right. Not having the best of times here just yet. Dropping a match point already. Can he hold on and take this map? It is Desrow.
All right, so let's see how this is going to play out. Cloud with an advantage could use it to a strategy, such as 2 barracks, 1 barracks, Marauder, proxy, something along those lines. But he hasn't done that on SCV yet. It's going to be just a simple barrack, simple supply depot. And Cloud isn't really an opponent that changes very often. As mentioned in the previous game, he is a very macro, solid player. Yeah, gets his turrets down, gets his engineering base down at a good time. Did unfortunately fall victim to a DT drop rather than DT walk, which he may actually cover in this game again. But he is actually queuing up a lot of SCVs, and there is the sign that he is going to be going for that command center first. On a big map like Daybreak is very, very possible.
Yeah, I think Cloud must be feeling pretty confident at this point. He knows that, well, after the first game, okay, he went behind a little bit to that DT drop, like you mentioned. But in the long game, in the war of attrition, he did manage to take 1 over Desrow. So he sees no reason why to not go for it again. And indeed, it looks like a command center first is going to be the order of the day here for Cloud, sending the SCV to the natural expansion now at about 350 minerals. Desrow is going to be coming in with the probe scout, and we'll see that the command center is going down right now.
Yep, so he's going to have to do something to topple that, whether it be a faster Nexus coming down or whether he tries aggression towards this. Aggression towards this could be the chrono boost into the initial gateway and trying to get some units out pretty damn fast. But he's not going into gas, so it looks like he's just going to try and take a Nexus down pretty early on. And usually as a Terran player in this position, you say, all right, well, I'm going to command center first. So like I mentioned, these are the 2 options for Protoss to really do. And then you send out a scouting SCV, which should be going in a couple of seconds' time. And if you see a faster Nexus, you can throw down a faster third base. You know, you keep going 1 above your opponent. Cloud may do that. Or he sticks to a regular timing and tries to nail something down. But that's not likely to happen, as Desrow isn't really able to lose to any timings through going and adjusting his Nexus. It's not like it makes him a victim to any timings. He's going to be quite on the ball with everything.
And 2 barracks going down now for Cloud. Let's see if he adds any more, or if he does indeed scout that his Nexus has gone down and therefore goes for a slightly quicker 3rd command center. The probe actually still lives for Desrow and isn't being pursued by an SCV any longer, so he might be able to get a bit more scouting information a little later on. Cloud now sending that scout of his own out of his base, and the 2nd barracks will complete shortly, as we now have another gas being taken from Desrow now, as his Nexus is half complete.
Desrow playing pretty greedy, skipping the Zealot, chrono boosting the Nexus again. May even use another pylon in a minute just to continue to chrono boost, and there it is actually in the production tab. Another pylon coming down so he can just continue to build probes and probes and probes. Not building any units, will eventually build a Stalker. He may not even chrono boost it. He may to chase the SCV out so he can kind of show, or hide, should I say, hide his actual tech path. Let's see what he's going to do. Yeah, he's going to chrono boost the Stalker. So you want to get rid of that SCV, and all the rest of the chrono boost will be into the Nexus. What is Cloud doing, though? Has not taken gases or extra barracks or even a bunker.
So is he going to be going for that fast third command center we were alluding to a little earlier? His mineral count is now up to 380. So that looks like a distinct possibility. And there we go. The third commands are getting put down in the main for Cloud.
Oh, look at Desrow. God damn it, Desrow. Very greedy play, absolutely.
Wow.
He's kind of reading into Cloud and being like, all right, you know, your usual response here is going to be a third command center. Well, if you're going third command center, that means you're not going to have any units out.
Yeah.
But if Cloud had thrown down 3 extra barracks, for example, instead of command center, even though that's not a very solid build, it's not a good style to use, if that had come out, which it can happen, then Desrow just flat out dies. But by going for the Forge and Twilight Council early on, that's going to give him a really solid edge. He's going to be able to go for armor initially. He most likely can lean towards a Templar build with such a fast Twilight Council there, and maybe go for like a 2-base Zealot Templar style or something along those lines.
Sure.
But this is actually a very greedy opening from Desrow, and I like it. I think he's reading really well into what Cloud is doing.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a metagame thing here, guys, because you get build orders where players just see what they can get away with and progressively get greedier and greedier and greedier, and then you sort of come back out. You see the all-in build sort of come back in trying to punish that sort of greedy play, and all of a sudden players aren't taking bases quite as often. And in this particular case, we basically see 2 players here who are trying to out-greed each other.
Desrow, there's an SCV there. Get onto it.
There we go. Now, you won't be able to see much in the main base. Not a problem. Okay, good. Don't have to eat my words there. Does actually pick it off before it sees anything of importance at the top of the ramp. And the Templar Archives now is about to complete for Desrow. So pretty quick. Like you mentioned, very greedy play, but a very quick tech as well, and Storm already on its way here at the 7-minute, 30-second mark.
Turret coming down again. Cloud did see an extra gateway, and that gateway was coming down quite late. Doesn't really know what it means, whether it was maybe a robotics facility, maybe a Twilight Council before for DTs. He's just saying, all right, still kind of up in the air what he's actually doing.
Yeah.
But he did see a fast third gas, which could lead to be DTs, which is why this turret come down again. Double engineering bay coming for Cloud. It's going to be completely neglected once we do see Storm, which is so close to being out now. Cloud still no idea what's going on. Is he going to use a scan? Is he not? A scan, preferably in the main base around 8:30, would give all the information necessary, but is he going to do it? That's the thing. That's when Terrans like to scan, if they do want to scan, because you can see all the gateways. There's a lot of damn gateways.
Yep.
And Cloud could be victim to a 2-base attack here by Desrow. And as we stated in game number 1, that's how Desrow plays. He has a plan. He had a plan in game 1 to do the DT drop, to fall back. It kind of crumbled, of course, versus the drop. But he's got a plan here again. And this is a very, very strong one.
Well, Zealot Charge is about halfway done now, and Storm is indeed about to complete. I like that he's putting the gateways down quite far away from the Templar Archives. It means a single scan will not be able to see everything, I think, unless Cloud really hits some sort of amazing sweet spot that I can't see in the Protoss base at the moment. 3 more gateways now completing, and Cloud, real decent response. I mean, he has got the bunkers down, and Desrow now looking to move out, and this one Marine, is he going to spot anything? No, he's actually moving towards the third.
Yeah, I mean, Cloud's in his own world right now. I'm looking through his vision. He's just kind of macro, macro, macro. You get this. He's like checking for a third, and now as he sees a lack of third base, alarm bells have to be ringing.
Yes.
A massive attack is incoming, and Cloud throws down another bunker. He knows. He brings the command center back, and upon seeing that third base, most likely a mistake more than anything from Desrow not to leave a Stalker there to prevent that from going down. Imagine if a Stalker had prevented that Marine from going down. Cloud would have continued to take this third base, but now there's a pylon down. The assault is coming. There's no Ghost Academy. Storm is going to be brutal. There's no bloody combat shields. There is nothing down to actually stop this. And Desrow, it could actually walk away with this victory. Bunkers need to come down more so. He's trying to wall in. This is a very, very powerful attack.
Oh, we have some engineering bays attempting to go down to reduce the surface area on those bunkers there. 3 bunkers are no laughing matter, actually, here. Needs to be very, very careful. Does Desrow. He's currently down 88 to 98 supply, but he has such a fearsome army knocking at the door here of a Cloud. Let's see if he's able to do it. One Zealot deciding to charge in, being a little bit brave, but Cloud responding quite well here, actually, preventing any sort of surface area, and those those engineering bays are really coming in useful.
Yeah, that's pissed Desrow off because now he's had to build a third Nexus, and that's that's a really solid response from Cloud there. Instead of building a lot of new bunkers, he throws down 3 engineering bays, and that's actually not broken. If your attack moves in, the Zealots are going to go against the engineering bay.
Them finish. I thought he was going to sort of like leave a little bit on them, so when he moves out, he can just cancel them.
Yeah,
but he's let all 4 finish.
I mean, he knows that he's so far ahead in terms of upgrades. He's got 2-2 on the way, so all he needs to do is defend. As long as he defends, he's going to have a massive sick advantage, which he does right now. A really strong advantage. Though we do see +2 armor and +3 on the way. It's a good advantage. It's not like a game-winning advantage, but now he doesn't want to fall too behind himself. He wants to pick up, destroy the engineering base, pick up the command center, go expand. I'm going to check if he's actually scanned or not. He does know about the third Nexus.
Yeah.
So now he knows.
And, well, we were talking about this the last game, how really these mind games are sort of playing out. Desrow has this build, has this attack that he was trying to execute here. And Cloud, through those bunkers and, of course, those contingency engineering bays, if you will, has thwarted that attack. So all of a sudden, Desrow is not sticking to his game plan anymore. He has to start thinking on his feet, and he's trying to figure out what is the best to adapt to this kind of play. And he immediately threw down the second Forge, trying to chrono boost those upgrades out as quickly as he can, which I think is the correct thing to do, and got his third Nexus down. But this is giving Cloud the time he needs to get the kind of composition against Desrow's army that he ideally wants.
Yeah, and as mentioned, such a greedy opening by Desrow. Robotics facility so late, would have died to any follow-up Club Banshees, 1 barracks expansion Club Banshees as well. Just really greedy play, but now he's got double robotics facility coming in. Ghosts are coming out. Unfortunately, there's not really going to be a Ghost timing against the Colossus coming. There's going to be a spread army timing. And basically what that means is that Cloud can hit and spread as thin as possible and evade as many storms as possible to win the fight, but that's going to be very difficult. I don't think it's even possible, to be honest. Nice harassment there by Desrow at the same time. And with the Colossus on the way, Desrow's going to be able to stabilize. But long term, with 2-2 finishing up and 3-3 going to start soon, it's going to give Cloud a nice edge in these fights.
Well, Desrow's going to try and get a little bit of damage done edgeways with a Warp Prism, which is currently in the top left of the map and going to be flying towards the third base location in a bit. Let's see if he's able to do much with that in the long run. Desrow only now starting extended thermal lance. He is getting 2 Colossi at a time. The number of Vikings currently out on the field are 2. With no more incoming for now. He's not 100% sure. He hasn't seen those Colossi yet, although he might have seen the Robotics Bay. We'll just double check that in a sec. And the War Prism now going to be going towards the third base. Let's see if he can get any damage done here. Are there any units about? There is a, not much actually, and good storms, but also good reaction time there from Cloud. A third storm going down, killing a decent amount there. Not bad, but it looks like the War Prism and both High Templar are going to meet their swift deaths.
All right, so 3-3. Finally been made. 2 command centers as well. So Cloud has a good macro setup in terms of SRE production and good economy. The question is now, though, what's going to happen next? Are we going to see a split map scenario with the command centers coming down? It leads to believe that could happen. Desrow is now researching shields as well, so his upgrades are catching up quite well. Unfortunately, his attack is relatively far behind, but his units do have a lot of survivability, so as long as there's a lot of Zealots in there, the Colossus will eventually do a lot of damage, and if he does hit the storms, he doesn't really need the damage output either.
Well, that Marine, very brave there indeed. Cloud going for 2 additional command centers near his third base as well. So really thinking towards the end game now. And Desrow, in the meantime, remaking a War Prism, going to continue those Colossi production. But Cloud did actually see it with his scouting factory, so he is pumping out those Vikings 4 at a time at the moment. So that's going to be great for him. Really not a good day to be a factory driver. We've seen quite a few suicides here today so far, as a command center actually getting put down in the natural. So it looks like he might be poised to make that a defensive planetary fortress, I suspect. Let's see what he ends up doing with it, as we do have the armies clashing at the forward Zelnaga Tower, and the Stalkers are split up from the rest of the army. This is not good news for Desrow, because potentially the Vikings can go in there and snipe off the Colossi. Yeah, so not a good spread by Desrow, and immediately retreats back to get everything together. We do have a result kind of coming in from the admins, is that Desrow, there was a mistake from the admins. They did correct it, so Desrow did win his first game against Balance G. Okay, all right.
So both these players are 2-0.
That's a big difference from what we were thinking earlier, man.
Yeah, that's a big difference. A bit of a mistake, but never mind. Day one, mistakes are going to happen left and right. But that means that both these are through no matter what. It's
so
more
fighting
of a
for
fighting for seed.
All right there. So we have personal cloaking coming out for those ghosts now from a Cloud as well.
Sad day.
Oh dear, there goes that Warp Prism. So sad. Falling into that incinerator there by the looks of things, and a couple of High Templar getting caught out here as well. Now this army is very, very low on hit points at the moment from Cloud, and he has used up a lot of that medevac energy, but is it going to matter in the long run?
7 Vikings left, but he lost a lot there, and a little bit sloppy from Cloud. Walked back and didn't see a High Templar that was on the Zelnoga Tower that stormed his army. He lost a bunch of Vikings, so Desrow does have a bit of an upper hand at the moment until these units get replenished.
But it doesn't look like he's going to be going for that attack right this minute. A couple of Zealots attempted to be warped in to try and do some harassment damage, but Cloud's pretty much immune to that at the moment. I mean, at the third base, he has, wow, how many, this guy is collecting command centers, man. He's just trying to get as many mules down as possible in the long run of this game, and it looks like those Zealots will just about get cleaned up here, but another warping going to force Cloud to send a couple of units over there. Yeah,
Desrow should take a 5th base now as well, knowing that his opponent's taking 1 too. This is going to get into a split map scenario, and the thing is, this gives a great storm there by Desrow. I'm going to continue with the assault with these Zealots, and they will do a lot. And Cloud's going to have to bring his entire army to defend. Really great harassment, actually. I'm kind of looking at it and be like, this is going to end in a minute, but it keeps on going. So this is really, really nice here by Desrow, and really good. And look, he's actually moving in the middle, taking Cloud out of position. Oh, this is a really, really strong move here by Desrow.
Blink actually picking apart all but one of those Vikings. How many Vikings are left on the field? 8 at the moment against 3 Colossi. So not disastrous yet, but Cloud obviously wants more of that air army to be alive at this moment in time. A pylon still behind the mineral line at the 4th base. What is Cloud going to be doing about it? Desrow now completely maxed out once again. Yeah, and he's going to be sending a lot of Zealots again into the 4th base location, as we do have the engagement now going on at the Watchtower. A good spread from Cloud there, but the Zealots getting a decent surface area. The Colossi getting taken out by the Vikings, but they're doing good damage in the meantime to the bio. Is it going to be enough? The Zealots are melting, though, and these stimmed Marauders should be able to push Desrow back.
Really nice micro by Desrow, and these Zealots will come in to help out the Colossus and the Stalkers here as long as he keeps
stuck in the back.
Micro.
Oh, good God. Those were excellent EMPs, but now we have the flank coming in from the left-hand side. Those units that may have originally been destined for the 4th coming in to help in the main battle, and that's going to be really useful for Desrow now. The supplies are practically even, 137 to 139, but Desrow continuing to push forward here. He needs to be a little careful, because if Cloud is able to regroup, then Desrow could just get completely pushed back and have his Colossus count entirely reset. There goes the last Colossus with the army, but a lot of Zealots do remain.
Very nice micro here by Desrow, just keeping the units that are important and alive. It looks like this may be pushed back eventually, but Desrow's now taking the 5th base. He's building 2 Colossus. At this stage of the game, to be honest, you should have 3 to 4 robotics facilities. I mean, 2 is good, but 3 and 4 is better.
Yeah.
But Desrow's going to keep the pressure up with these Blink Stalkers. His micro has been very good, as mentioned, and 2 more Colossus on the way. And that was a really nice set of fights there by Desrow. It looked like he was a little bit cornered in the middle, but his flank from the top was excellent. And didn't really have any good storms, but he just had a good amount of units there. And Cloud's running out of money a little bit here.
He hasn't been using that pylon behind the mineral line in the 4th base, interestingly. He's been warping them in at that... maybe he's assuming that it's dead because the Planetary Fortress is already there, but he could warp in some units over there instead of walking them in from the right-hand side. Supply is currently 156 to 141 in favor of Desrow. And Cloud at the moment is he's doing all right. I mean, he has a healthy SCV count, and there we go. That's the warp in at the pylon we were looking at. Going to be doing a little bit more harassment damage here at the top left position, forcing Cloud to move his army back, and Desrow on the edge of sensor tower vision. I like that Cloud is pushing forward with sensor towers, actually. That's really cool.
And Desrow again pulling Cloud out of position here. I think he may have enough to snipe that planetary, but he's not going to go for it. An EMP goes down on his army, it's going to hurt a lot. And now here comes Cloud, marching from the north down here, looking to turn this around, but there's a lot of damn Colossus here and very, very, very few Vikings.
Only 4, and here we go. The engagement gonna start in just a minute. But it looks things excellent. Storm. 2 storms going down on that army there. Decent dodge as well, that has to be said, from Cloud, but a lot of that army is currently orange. Needs to be very, very careful preserving that, and Desrow looking like he wants to press home the advantage here. More Stalkers and Zealots being warped in. He needs to get the Zealots to the front of this army. There is the Archon as well. Good EMP going down on a lot of those Stalkers, but the Zealots still have some shields on them. They're just stuck in the back at the moment. Needs to move them a little bit further towards the front. Once 164 to 154 supply. Desrow, good micro, trying to pick apart the Vikings before the Colossi actually get shot at here, but the number of Vikings is decent. There are 6 left at the moment, and Desrow is forced back in the meantime. Those Zealots just not soaking up the damage he wanted them to.
God damn it, Cloud built some medivacs here. He's so struggling in that department with only 2, both out of energy, and every stim he hits now is hurting him. Look how low health these all are.
Yeah.
There the medivacs do finally begin, but that is hurting him, and it's going to take a while for them to get out. They're not going to have a lot of energy when they first do come out either, and they are sniped incredibly fast. Desrow's at 3-3-3, has a great economy set across all these bases here. He's continuing to harass, and he's playing a very good late game. But the problem is, this is always difficult. The early late game, if that makes sense for you, is very difficult for Terran initially. But the longer the game goes on, the easier it becomes because the upgrades become a lot stronger. But right now, Desrow's been holding Cloud against the wall, pinned up against the wall. Desrow's fists slamming Cloud against the wall. And Cloud can't quite breathe at the moment. He's getting a little bit of room for error. But he's now got a couple more medivacs, but still his army's so incredibly weak.
Yeah, well, the longer this game goes on, Apollo, the more chance we have for either player really just making a bit of a mistake here. But Desrow definitely in the advantageous position. We have the Ghost moving forward now from Cloud. Do we get, we get a magnificent storm on a lot of those Ghosts at the moment, and a great secondary storm on the Vikings, but the Vikings are coming in from the side. Desrow actually ignoring them in favor of the Planetary Fortress at the moment, but he is powering through this army here. The Stalkers now finally a small group of them blinking to take apart those Vikings, and 2 Colossi do remain. One of them on practically no health, but has effectively full shields. And now Desrow needs to be careful. A lot of Ghosts in the back here might be able to come in and snipe off the remaining Colossi. Desrow now moving into the natural expansion.
Yeah, and Desrow's doing a lot of damage here. Look at all those Ghosts that are going down as well. Doesn't have an observer. They are running out of energy, and he'll just retreat back and go back to his economy, which is still so beautiful. And that was a nice pick off from Cloud. Cloud is only on 1.5 mining bases, the top left and that third. Even those are running out of money at the moment, so Cloud needs to get a new base down. He does, really, really fast in the middle, and it even could get sniped. If that gets sniped, then Cloud's in a bit of trouble. He does immediately evacuate, but look at that. Desrow already back to 166 supply. Upon killing all the Ghosts, he makes a lot of Archons as well. And as mentioned, late game, Protoss is good.
There. He has an observer there. He might be able to pick this up. Yes, he does. So the command center is going to go down, and now, it has to be said, the rate at which Cloud is mining at the moment, he is matching Desrow, but of course that's because of the mules, Apollo, and the mineral patches are just going to disappear that much faster. So this really is a race against time here for our Terran at the moment. Good EMP on this army at the moment. That Archon in the front is going to go down very, very quickly indeed, and it looks like we might have a little bit of an engagement here. Cloud trying to move in. Good preemptive storm there from Desrow, forces him back. Desrow now has a 40 supply lead.
And a new base. A new base indeed, and with that new base, he's going to be able to continue his income, and he's slowly but surely wearing Cloud down. Another great fight here by Desrow. He doesn't really need to. Any fight he takes at this stage of the game is a good fight.
0 medevacs on the field, man. It's still not healing that army.
Yeah, that's a problem, and there 2 RB mates, and Cloud is bleeding quite hard at the moment in this game. He's currently leading 1-0 though, so it will go to a 3rd game if he does drop it. 2 new command centers being thrown down. But with that, that's 800 minerals not in his army, and now that's going to really show through. And there's so many Stalkers here.
The storms are just so good, and the second storm actually picking apart a Ghost that was about to EMP the army as well. And Desrow looking like he is attempted to move up there. I'm trying to taunt the Vikings out to getting some pot shots off on the Colossi so that the Stalkers can blink up and take them out. 2 more Stalkers going to be doing a little bit of harassment damage here at the 4th base location behind the mineral line, and just forcing a Cloud in several directions at once here. Of course, he sees where the army is thanks to those sensor towers, but what can he really do about it?
Great submission move here by Desrow. 2 Stalkers up there actually can't be killed unless Cloud gets his army there, and Desrow's saying, come on, boy, come on, come on, come out and play. Desrow's waiting to kill this army, and you know, Cloud has to go, and there's the big stem here. It's going to happen, but there's Storm, there's Archons, there's Colossus. Great EMPs, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
doesn't matter, Josh.
Storm, no. Oh, nice snipe off of one of those high tempo, actually. That could have been huge, but a second one is still there. Another EMP takes it. So, Desrow doesn't have any storms with this army as it currently stands. Is it going to matter? There are 2 coming in from the top, though, and oh my god, he does not get those. Huge storms go down once again, and GG comes out from Cloud. So, Desrow evening up the series here, 1-1.
Indeed he is. Moving on to the 3rd game, as mentioned, will be on Cloud Kingdom. So another great map here for Desrow. So Desrow's been able to turn it around, and currently these are both sitting at 2-0 within this group. They both are through no matter what. They will make its way through. Who's going through his first? Who's going through his second? About to find out.
That's right, guys. Really, really nice late game play coming out of there from Desrow. Fantastic storms all throughout. And if we notice in this particular instance, we saw that Desrow was very effective at stopping Cloud's harassment. There weren't any drops in that particular game. Cloud wasn't sending any units sort of down to the 4th, 5th base locations to try and prevent them from being up. Desrow just managed to sit back and play his own game there. And that's such a dangerous position to be in going into the late game against someone that good. And I think some of his practice and really a lot of what he's learned got shown very, very well in that game.
In both games so far, Desrow's come out with 2 specific attacks. Initially the DTs. Second, we went over to the Templar build. What is he going to do on Cloud Kingdom, though? I mean, there are a lot of Colossus-focused builds here. 2 Forged Colossus is very strong on this map. It is a lot easier to defend. Earlier Templar play is good defensively as well here. I think that Desrow, I don't think he's going to risk it. I mean, I say that, and I kind of doubt myself on a gateway attack. Potentially could pull that off every game. Cloud only gets 1 bunker. He doesn't really scout that often. You know, scanning and checking the main gateway count. Well, I wonder if Desrow's going to do something like that to try and take a swift Game 3 victory.
Let's see if he ends up hinging on that kind of play here, because we have spawned, ladies and gentlemen, on Cloud Kingdom in the bottom left-hand corner. Not dropping a map in his first group until now. Let's see what he can do on Cloud Kingdom. It is, of course, Cloud, his map's namesake. And spawning in the top right position. Very, very good late game there. Such effective use of storms. What will he be able to do here in this game number 3? This is for first place in the group. It is Desrow.
All right, so Desrow is not going to scout with his pylon scout here, and I think that's just because who he's playing against here. Usually, you'd see the pylon scout go off to get in the main base before a wall-off is constructed, if any mind games would be played by the Terran player. But Desrow knows who he's playing against. He knows it's not really going to be the case. Barracks Command Center, the most likely build here by Cloud, and Desrow just reading into it.
Yep, just really, really calm play coming out from both players, and still no real idea just yet at this early stage of the game whether either player is going to try and finish off Game 3 really quickly indeed. I think it's important to note, Apollo, that in game number 2, Desrow had the game plan for, I want to do this attack. And Cloud really effectively shut it down. He put those engineering bays up in front of the bunkers, and Desrow was forced to think for himself at that point because he couldn't follow what he wanted to do. And I think he ended up reacting really well. He delayed some of his tech, but tried to continuously harass Cloud so he didn't move out his army across the middle of the map. And as soon as Desrow got all the tech he wanted, it seemed like he was just playing a perfect game. He was really in his stride there. So I think if I was Cloud right now, I'd really want to make sure I can disrupt Desrow before I can execute that kind of game plan. If timing attacks before the tech that Desrow wants out finishes, could be really effective for him. And I think that might be what he's going to go do in game number 3.
All right, we'll have to find out here. We do have the command center coming down in a couple of seconds as well as the scouting SCV here for Cloud. As the probe continues to scout and check for that to try and confirm up. Doesn't know that the Marine's about to pop out, so it'll want to poke in, then dart out immediately. Cloud throws the command center down. Desrow happy with that will leave.
Yep.
And the barracks command center's down, and no cheese coming out here from Cloud again as usual. And now the decision's coming over to Desrow. What does Desrow do with this? And obviously Cloud will win on his map Cloud Kingdom apparently.
When the map is named after you, man, like, you can argue that's an unfair advantage. We'll have to see what he ends up doing. Just a 1-Rax gasless expand, happy to go into a macro game, not looking to end it on one base or anything like that. And in the meantime, just starting Warp Gate, things are looking pretty chill here. Going to Chrono Boost out that Stalker to make sure no scouting information can be gotten in Cloud now. Hiding an SCV here at the 5th base location, possibly going in for a secondary scout at the natural a bit later on.
And Desrow has a Zealot on the other Zelnog tower. He's going to build the Nexus in a second. And most likely that Stalker will chase up. And what Cloud's going to do now is very smartly realizing that the Stalker's built at 420. It takes 40 seconds to move across the map. And in that window, the SCV can move in to scout. So within the next couple of seconds, that SCV will move in. If it doesn't move in, then it's going to miss its opportunity to scout. Likewise, Desrow's going to put a bit of pressure on with the Zealot and Stalker here, just a little bit, but nothing's going to actually come from this with the bunker being down.
Yeah, 4 Marines inside that bunker as well, so just going to be confirming that not too much is going to be happening here. And actually moving away from that probe, of course, we got the sneaky probe in past the bunker in one game, but Desrow deciding in this particular game not going to be particularly useful as a third barracks now about to finish for Cloud. He does have one gas taken in his main base, not in his natural, and meanwhile Desrow is going to be going for that robotics facility.
Yeah, with only one gas down here, I'm thinking we're going to see quite an early third command center, because that's kind of unusual. I mean, it's a very mineral-focused build right now, and you know, I think that's going to be third command center. The SUV goes in. It missed its opportunity to get into the main base, but it will see the Nexus. It doesn't know if there's gateways down. It doesn't know if there's a robotics facility as we see coming down either. It's going to try, but if Desrow doesn't really want to use a force field, and he doesn't have to there.
Yeah. That SCV was mining for a bit at the natural, so obviously that was where Cloud clicked. I get the impression that if he went straight into the main base, the force field would have been forced, but we're not going to know now, of course, because he did manage to pause just long enough for that sentry to do a bit of damage. And now we have the second gas being taken slightly later from Cloud as he moves out across the map with a bunch of Marines, and it gets seen at the watchtower by that probe. So Desrow knows this is incoming.
Yeah, Desrow is going to have to try to defend this. He is taking up very fast to Colossus. I thought that would be the case here. He has two Stalkers, one Stalker, a Sentry, and a Zealot at the moment. He's going to have to forceful to hold this off. If he doesn't, Desrow.
Whoops.
Whoopsie daisy. That stings. Oh dear God, Desrow. All right, well, he messed that up. So he's going to take a Sentry loss and a Zealot loss. He didn't need to take that loss. He will clean it up, but that Sentry's missing. That hurts because he doesn't have any banked up energy to protect the Colossus. He's going to have to rebuild the Sentry, and if you look at it, in it right now, the gas Desrow has, 125, right? The robotics bay is about to finish. He needs 400 gas at this point to go Colossus and Thermal Lance. So does he now build a Colossus immediately and skip Thermal Lance for now? Does he build Sentry to be defensive? Does he throw down a Forge, which makes no sense because he can't afford that? So Desrow has to take the fourth gas immediately.
Interesting move there. So still wanting, and he's still wanting to stick to his game plan, of course. So obviously he had planned on getting that Forge down, so he's going to put it down anyway, but he won't have the gas to produce everything he wants to, like you mentioned, even when that Forge finishes. And so he not going to be reproducing that Sentry. He is, in fact, going straight for that Colossus, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went for Thermal Lance when he could as well, but really suffering on that gas. And that really was just a difference of about a quarter of a second, because if that force field went down a little earlier, he would have managed to split maybe 3 Marines on the top, and all of a sudden he can just take out those 3 Marines with no losses. But the way he did it, unfortunately, zoning out 3 at the bottom, just meant he lost that Zealot and Sentry a little bit early on.
Oh, attack upgrade coming down here. We could see a 2-base attack from Desrow. Let's have a look at his probe count right now. 45.
Twilight as well.
Yeah, Twilight's going to be for Blink. And attack upgrades is going to be to bring down the Vikings with his Stalkers. On the other hand, though, Cloud, with the mineral income, the mineral-heavy army he had, or saturation he had, he was able to throw down very fast 4th and 5th barracks. Which is going to have a lot stronger army in the mid-game. 2 bunkers playing down defensively against what Desrow can do. Eventually, we see Thermal Lance started a little bit later on, and there's the Blink. Let's see how many gateways Desrow goes up to. A scan actually happens in the main base right this second from Cloud onto Desrow. Gets the scout of the Twilight and Forge.
Misses the robotics bay, but obviously he can assume that that is likely to be incoming at some point in the future. And the second engineering bay and an armory now completing for Cloud as well. So he's going to look to try and get a massive upgrade advantage as soon as possible in the game. We still have +1 nearly complete now for Desrow. But
more gateways.
Oh, there we go. Oh,
wow.
wow.
That was the case.
So this could be a big timing coming out from Desrow here before Cloud has the option of getting to that upgrade advantage.
Yeah, and you know, Cloud eventually will move out now. He's on 5 barracks. He's got Medvacs coming out, and Desrow's going to spot it with an Observer. So if Desrow wins a fight heads up at the moment, naturally he's got Colossus against no Vikings. If Cloud fights in a heads up position, loses a bit of units, and then loses more to Blink, massive counterattack, game-changing game.
Okay, here we go. And straight after the first 2 medevacs popped out, Apollo immediately going into Viking production as well. So he didn't start another 2 medevacs, and Cloud's going to want to defend against these Colossi, which I think is the correct decision at this point of the game. And Desrow really looking to ramp things up. Extended Thermal Lance about to complete. Blink about to complete. He started ground weapons level 2, and that's going to take a while, but he can still potentially be aggressive without it. Let's see what he's doing. He's actually just going to be taking his 3rd right now. Yeah,
he's trying to play it a bit more defensive. He uses his resources to build a Nexus instead of opening more units. But he still has the option to be very, very aggressive with this. Absolutely no doubt in my mind. With +2 coming down. A little bit worried about the only 1 Sentry in his army. That makes things a little bit difficult. It will landslide if he loses a fight or starts to lose a fight. There's no way to recover. 4 Vikings on the way, and Cloud knows this could be a dangerous build, so he's actually playing very defensive. Loctite. Even though he opened up very aggressively with 5 barracks, very fast 5 barracks, he's playing it very, very tight. But upon getting this factory out there and, you know, seeing the army set up, seeing the pylon up there as well, he most likely can guess that that 3rd command center, or 3rd nexus, should I say, is down. And he will take his own.
And Desrow, at the moment, has both watchtowers, so sees that the suicidal factory driver is being a little bit more careful in this game number 3. Vikings were coming out 3 at a time, by the way, just now. So even though Desrow has a couple of Colossi out on the field, I believe 3 in total, we have 7 Vikings and 4 more on the way. So Cloud really looking to nip the potential problem of Colossi in this army in the bud. Let's see if Desrow can counteract that a little bit later on with some storms like we saw in that last game, because the Templar Archives is about to complete.
Yeah, Templar Archives done. Storm immediately should come down here with +3 attack as well. So Desrow with double forge eventually. Playing it very defensively initially, you know, nice and early blink. Could have used it for an aggressive option, but did play it a little bit safer.
I don't think he showed blink to Cloud yet, has he?
No, he hasn't shown it, but Cloud should suspect, you know, when you see 1 Forge, 1 Twilight out, it's going to be for Blink. So that scan early on should have revealed that that was the case, which is why I played so defensively, knowing that that was going to be out.
Good mobility with the army there, and only now getting medevacs number 3 and 4, so Cloud wants to be careful of overstimming there. Ooh, the Stalkers, well, if he didn't know before, he certainly does know now. Immediately getting out of dodge before anything untoward happens here. Ghost Academy only now just completing, so if Cloud decides to push in right now, it will be without EMPs. I wonder if he's going to be going for a prod at the natural. The Zealot at the Watchtower sees absolutely everything.
Well, the thing is, this is a beautiful timing hitting here by Cloud, because he knows there's no storm. He's hitting it absolutely perfectly, and down goes 1 Colossus. If the Colossus go down, this could get ugly, but they are getting a lot of race down, and the Archons provide a lot of splash damage onto those initial Marines. Even though Cloud does return without losing that much, he deals a lot of damage. Desrow kind of bouncing off him as well. Kind of a 50-50 trade there.
Yeah, the Zealots just absorbed so much of that damage, and of course they were able to move forward quite quickly as well. I just think the Vikings were in a good position, but the Stalkers were on top of it because Desrow did see everything at the Watchtower there. And maybe if Cloud had a couple seconds on Desrow there, maybe if he took the Watchtower beforehand and Desrow wasn't 100% certain about that timing, he could have got a little bit of a better position. But as it stands, Desrow just going to try and push Cloud back. A couple of Zealots here doing the dirty on some SCVs at the 3rd base. Not too much going on there. Only 5 workers killed in total this game for Desrow at the moment. So both sides just continuing to macro up. Desrow taking a 4th behind this as well, and Psionic Storm is now 3/4 of the way complete.
Yeah, I really like the 4th base here for Desrow. Realizing that he just pushed back that timing, and he didn't really do as much as Cloud hoped. And Desrow now just says, all right, well, your next timing is going to be with Ghost. Naturally, it's going to take a while to get them out, and he takes quite a bit of hit save and forces a big stim. And now that Desrow, you know, saying that there's a lot of time before Ghosts are out in numbers, I can take my 4th base, I can get a double robo. I can continue to chrono boost into my upgrades and get shields, and that's a very smart decision to make.
Yep, I think, no, that's a really good point. So let's see if he's able to use that to his advantage a little later on. So yeah, Ground Armor level 2, Shields level 1, but we have got 3/3 already on the way now for Cloud, and Ghost production is now starting in full swing. The 2nd robotics facility is about to complete for Desrow, so he will be able to get those down a bit quicker indeed. And Gravitic boosters as well coming out from our Protoss. So just getting a little bit more information out of his opponent there.
And these Vikings, they've only got +1 at the moment. Without +2, Colossus with armor and shields under a Guardian shield, these Vikings aren't going to do that much here, and I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't seen that being researched. He is a little bit gas-starved on 3 bases, trying to get out Ghost, trying to get out 3/3, and so on and so on. But that could prove quite an important factor in this game, considering Desrow's making 2x2 Colossus. He is scouting out these extra command centers too, which is very, very smart. And Desrow's getting a little bit comfortable. He's approaching 200 supply, +2 armor, and shields is almost done as well.
Needs to be careful with those Stalkers. Good blink back, a scan immediately going down to see if the rest of the army is there. I think, oh, the Observer actually getting away from that as well. So good save there from Desrow. Both sides are now maxed out, 200 versus the 196. The bio upgrades are 3-2, and for Desrow, we have 3-2 as well. With the first shield upgrade about to pop in too. But we have personal cloaking about to complete for the Ghost. We're at the front of this army. It looks like Cloud is looking to engage at the 4th base, moving down towards the Nexus. The Ghost get hit by the Colossi, but not before getting a couple of good EMPs out. Some of the Zealots are stuck at the back. Can he hold on? Great storm coming out of there from Desrow. But the Vikings are doing so much damage, and it looks like all but one of the Colossi are now dead, with the last one at very little health. Desrow is going to lose this fourth base.
That was a terrible engagement by Desrow, terrible acceptance of a fight there. That was really, really bad. Everything was EMP, the Zealots were behind the Stalkers, and he just got whitewashed. It shouldn't have been that easy for Cloud, and it was. He made it look easy. And to be honest, Desrow screwed that up so badly that Cloud's just about to take a fourth and a third base away from Desrow, and without these bases, he can't stay in the game, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the third game as well is going to be going down with that 178 to 101 supply at the moment. Those Zealots behind the Stalkers really... it was a bit annoying as well. GG coming out from Desrow, and we're going to be going back. Oh, it's bright again. Going to put that tanning lotion back on. As Cloud does take that game free and therefore advances undefeated match-wise in the group. But Desrow will take consolation in that he was able to take it toe-to-toe with the Italian Stallion, managing to take a map off him in game number 2 and getting good, advantageous positions at some point in all of the games he played. So they'll both, I believe, be moving on to the second group stage now.
Yes, and, that's right.
Wow. So that was a pretty good series. And that last engagement, I think you're completely spot on, especially, I think, with the Zealots behind the Stalkers, because you would have needed to use a couple more EMPs to get the Zealots out if they were already in front and charging towards your army. But because they were stuck behind the Stalkers, one EMP does them all. And that really helped so much in that final engagement.
All right, so that's the first segment of today done. We've done the first half of the group stage 1. And we will be moving into Group Stage 1, second half, in a couple of moments' time. We have some excellent players. Highlights being Tilo, a lot of people here to watch that. Yep. Targa's playing as well. Zictamini's down there. Nurture Bly. Name every Zerg player I can on the top of my head. They're all down there. And we have a lot of good games incoming. But that is only going to be starting in roughly an hour and a half time. There's going to be a little bit of lunch break for the players to go get lunch, of course, set up and be ready to take the next set of games underway.
That's right. So I think at 3:30 local time in Bucharest, which is 1 hour ahead of Central European summer time and 2 hours ahead of the UK, we will be moving into the second half of Group Stage 1. Guys, we hope you've enjoyed. Grab a drink, get a little bit of something to eat, and we'll see you in an hour and a half. This is Apollo and Jarazar bringing you DreamHack Bucharest. See you then.